Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Jenny returns today for another episode of I Don't Understand. Today, Jenny doesn't understand why we care so much about what other people do. Nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year's supply of vitamin D. Drink ag1.com/juicebox. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. Are you an adult living with type 1 or the caregiver of someone who is? And a U.S. resident? If you are, I'd love it if you would go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox and take the survey. When you complete that survey, your answers are used to move type 1 diabetes research of all kinds. So if you'd like to help with type 1 research, but don't have time to go to a doctor or an investigation, and you want to do something right there from your sofa, this is the way. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. It should not take you more than about 10 minutes. US Med is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, and we've been getting our diabetes supplies from US Med for years. You can as well. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Use the link or the number, get your free benefits check, and get started today with US Med. This show is sponsored today by the glucagon that my daughter carries, Gvoke HypoPen. Find out more at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. All right, Jenny, hey, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Let's keep going with I Don't Understand. I'm getting nice notes from people that say they're enjoying hearing you talk about stuff that you don't understand. So,
yay. Maybe they just like my accent.
I hope so. I hope it's just that they're delighted by you like I am.
Aw.
Yeah. I'm going to go with your next one on my list. Why are we so interested in strangers' behaviors, like how they dress and what they're doing?
Yes.
All right. What made you put that one on the list?
I think what made me put it on the list is because we are in an age of a lot of visual to people that we don't even know, right? With all of the different social media avenues and all of the different things that you can look up online. I ran into this again as I was sort of traveling for a conference, and I was watching people. I am a watcher. I'm one of those people. I love watching people. I got that from my dad. He could go to the mall with my mom and he just wanted to sit on the bench and he wanted to watch what people were like doing.
Right.
Not from he wasn't weird, I promise, but just like an observational. I got that from him. And I've noticed it more now with all of the different avenues of looking up. What are the popular shoes to wear? And how should I tie my hair back today? And is it now I flip my collar up or should it stay down and unbuttoned? You know what I mean? So I watch people scroll through.
Yeah.
Like all the things and what like kicks their interest, right? Human observation is really interesting. But I don't understand why it's interesting to see somebody you will never meet and you don't know and what they're doing with their life. I would personally rather navigate my own life.
Right.
And do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know why you put your energy into that when just take care of yourself and do what you like.
Also, I think that very often because of the format of the phone, and you're not really seeing them. You're seeing listen, I make social media videos sometimes. I don't come in here and make them if I haven't shaved for 3 days. I don't stand in front of a messy part of my house and do it.
Right.
You're not really seeing their situation. I will tell you that I like this one for the conversation because I think it dovetails a little bit into diabetes a little bit.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. And because I've seen, I guess we should go backwards a little bit. This is all for eyes, right? Like if you're trying to sell footwear or clothing or, listen, I'm not proud. save 40% at CozyEarth.com with the offer code Juicebox, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah, they send me clothes and I put them on and I buy some too. But,
Right.
It's how this whole thing works. There's an economy around this now.
Of course.
Right. The high side of it is people can start their own businesses, like become incredibly popular, reach people they'd never reached before. Did you see that girl the other day? She's having like a happiness stroke online because Taylor Swift wore her like sparkly freckle tabs or something at a football game. And she's got like this small business and it's just exploding because. Right. So,
and I understand it from that perspective that you're bringing up.
But what you're saying is, why did somebody go buy the damn sparkly things just because they saw her wearing them?
Right.
Yeah.
Like I have for a long time not been a part of, I don't know. I do what I like because I like it, not because somebody else told me to do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've become really interested in what is everybody doing?
Right.
And to some degree that can be especially in what we've had the past number of years, that can be a very good way to feel like you are reaching somebody or connecting with somebody. But to another degree, I like real social connection. Mm-hmm. I really like to talk to the person that I might be saying, hey, I really like your shoes, right?
But maybe the real question is, I don't understand, why does it not work on you? And it worked because there are real reasons. Like marketing, listen, here are the fundamental psychological principles that shape how thoughts and emotions and behaviors are manipulated by marketing. You use emotional appeal. You aim to trigger emotional responses like happiness, fear, and nostalgia. You help to make a brand connection, like puts that like team thing into place where you're like, oh, my team is winning or people like what I like. Then you use social influences to, show them, look, other people who are doing it too. They also can create a scarcity or urgency feeling that works on people. I mean, look, there was that dock worker strike recently that lasted all of 4 days.
Right.
You couldn't buy toilet paper at Costco again. Like I saw the greatest meme online. One guy said, he put it up on his Facebook and he said, if you bought toilet paper this week, please unfriend me. I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
Then they can find a way to target it to you. They use cognitive bias, presents a higher initial price to make a discounted price seem like a better deal. Like that happens all the time, right? Like, hurry up. It's going down in price. Like it's going up. You got to hurry up.
I would imagine inclusive feeling like on the list would probably be, I feel included in this group of other people who are wearing the same shoes or carrying the same purse or has the same sport hat on. Like you said, right? You immediately feel like you are a piece of that group or that you belong.
Right.
And that's important for some people, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there are people who buy ads on this podcast, right? And no mistake, they're buying them so that you hear the words over and over and over again. And one day you're in a doctor's office and the doctor says, hey, have you ever thought of getting an insulin pump? And you think, Arden, where's that Omnipod? That's it right there. That's what they're shooting for. Now, I'm in a lucky position to take ads from places that, is stuff we use. And so I can speak to it, but I take ads from stuff that I've never touched before as well.
Sure.
So I understand how it all works. It's interesting to see it happen in so many different spaces. I mean, from like little things you stick to your face to, like Arden said to me the other day, do you think this patch works? It's supposed to make you more aware or something like that, like brighten your mood. And I said, I don't know what's in it. And I look, it's vitamins.
Right.
I texted her back. I said, take the fucking vitamin I sent to school with you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, that's all that's in this, But she saw it on TikTok or she saw it somewhere. And she's like, hey, this girl says she was more awake during class. And she knows enough to think like that might not be true, but still made her wonder out loud. Yeah. She wondered out loud about it. So, So back to the question of like, why doesn't it capture you, do you think?
It's a great question. Really.
It's hard to know, isn't it?
It is really hard to know. Yeah. And that's why I don't understand why it grabs some people and other people could really care less. It's not that I don't keep up with things like fashion and what's, out there, but I don't seek it out. I don't go to look at, gosh, what's the most popular new shoe? Mine is, Do the shoes let me run like I want to run?
Mm-hmm.
And do they feel good when I wear them just every single day? Fabulous. These are the shoes. And I don't care what big name person wears them. They could be from the no-name store across the street. And if they look like I like them and they feel great, then that's what I'm going to wear.
My phone will ring. I still have a home phone. I know that makes me old, but whatever. It sounds better. And when I'm having important conversations, I make phone calls from my home phone because it sounds better. But you'll get 1,000 marketing calls. I'll pick the phone up and I'll go, I'm not interested, and I'll hang up. And my wife will say, weren't you interested in? I said, I don't know. They didn't get that far. Or like one day this kid knocked on the door. I love this story. He knocks on our front door. I open the door. I go, hey man, what's up? He goes, I'm wondering if you're interested in, and then he started talking. I went, I'm going to stop you. I don't need that. And he goes, okay, thank you. And then I start pulling the door closed and he looks at me and he goes, sir? And I'm like, he goes, how do you know you don't need it? I haven't told you what it is yet. And I said, if I needed it, I'd know. I don't need you to tell me, but thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Like there's this idea that there's something magical out in the world that I haven't found out about yet. And the kid at my front door is going to tell me about it, you know? If you take insulin or sulfonylureas, you are at risk for your blood sugar going too low. You need a safety net when it matters most. Be ready with Gvoke HypoPen. My daughter carries Gvoke HypoPen everywhere she goes because it's a ready-to-use rescue pen for treating very low blood sugar in people with diabetes ages 2 and above that I trust. Low blood sugar emergencies can happen unexpectedly, and they demand quick action. Luckily, Gvoke HypoPen can be administered in 2 simple steps, even by yourself in certain situations. Show those around you where you store Gvoke HypoPen and how to use it. They need to know how to use Gvoke HypoPen before an emergency situation happens. Learn more about why Gvoke HypoPen is in Arden's Diabetes Toolkit at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used if you have a tumor in the gland on the top of your kidneys called a pheochromocytoma, or if you have a tumor in your pancreas called an insulinoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk for safety information. I have always disliked ordering diabetes supplies. I'm guessing you have as well. It hasn't been a problem for us for the last few years, though, because we began using US Med. You can too. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514 to get your free benefits check. US Med has served over 1 million people living with diabetes since 1996. They carry everything you need, from CGMs to insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies and more. I'm talking about all the good ones, all your favorites. Libre 3, Dexcom G7, and pumps like Omnipod 5, Omnipod DASH, Tandem, and most recently, the iLet pump from Beta Bionics. The stuff you're looking for, they have it at US Med. 888-721-1514 or go to usmed.com/juicebox to get started now. Use my link to support the podcast. That's usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514.
Right. Or that you're missing. And maybe that is the point. I don't feel like I'm really missing anything. And like you told that guy, if you were, you'd have it on your list of things to go searching for.
I would know what to do. Like I'm aware of the things that I'm not doing or need or whatever. And when they come up on my to-do list, I'll take care of them then.
Right. Exactly. Like, yeah. We had a bug guy kind of similar to your guy that came to our door this past summer, and he knocked. He's like, have you noticed an increase in these kinds of bugs? And he pulled out a sheet and he was going to start pointing. And I was like, sir, you can tell that our lawn has all the dandelions in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't spray.
We don't spray. Right. We don't do anything. The bugs that are here, there's a purpose for the bugs.
We're good with it.
I don't really need whatever you've got.
Yeah,
he was
thanks.
like, okay, yeah. Same thing.
Oh, I by the way, that same guy's been at my house. It's like a laminated chart of all the bugs, right? He goes, these are probably living under your soil. And I was like, well, I don't live under my soil, so I'm okay with that.
Right. They're not in my house. They're not invading anything. Great.
Yeah, he goes, they could come into the house. I said, I've been here 20 years. Hasn't happened yet. I'm feeling good about it. It's the same thing with warranties. You know, like, would you like to buy a $50 warranty? I'm like, the thing only costs $150.
Right.
I'm going to ride the luck. If it breaks, I'll spend the $150 and get it again. My wife did that to me. Like, we have this little like drink cooler, and we had one for 12 years and it died. And I bought another one. I bought the same exact one, but 2 years later, it died again. So when I bought a third one, she goes, "Are you going to buy the warranty?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Odds are in our favor, baby." I was like, I'm not doing that.
We never take out the warranty because it's a waste. It's kind of like, and I hesitate to say it because I have car insurance, but it's like car insurance, right? It is. It's like those things that you pay for hoping that you don't ever have to utilize what you're putting money into all the time.
Car insurance is a halfway good example, but you need it. I think legally you can't drive without it.
Yes, correct.
But if you think about it, what it costs you every year, and every year you don't use it, and then one year you run into somebody in a parking lot, let's say, imagine if you could look at that person and go, "Hey, listen, I've saved $40,000 in the last 20 years not buying car insurance. I'll give you 20 right now. Just go home." And and that person would be like,
just leave it alone.
"Get the hell out of here. Thank you." Of course, you kill somebody in a litigious society, you hurt somebody, you're going to lose your home. But yeah, that's the point of the warranty idea, which is if I buy a $50 warranty on everything I buy, I've spent thousands of dollars probably. And then why don't I just keep that money in reserve and use it if one of these things breaks? That's how my brain works about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
this is interesting. I know some of you like to freak out, but I asked ChatGPT, why are some people not impacted by marketing? So it says that high skepticism or critical thinking, people who naturally question the motives behind marketing messages are skeptical about advertisements, tend to be less persuadable.
What do you mean?
Right? They have an analytical mindset that scrutinizes claims that are made in ads and other parts of life. It's funny because that is how I would describe you. Like if we started this off and it was like, does Jenny get impacted by marketing? I'd think about you for 5 seconds and think I would answer no to that probably.
Oh.
Yeah. That does not seem like a thing that would like motivate you.
It isn't. And it is a hard thing though to navigate now with children because I've long time been like this. It's just, I don't know why, it is just me. But with kids now I can see the influence of friends and I can see the influence of brands and different types of things and trying to get across to them the base concept of things like need versus want and the fact that just because you have the shoes doesn't make you more popular. It may make you feel like you belong, but it's a hard thing to get across to brains that are still developing and understanding and learning connections.
And also, if your kid is already real self-confident and okay with being, not having 1,000 friends or something like that, then they'll probably be fine with that. But if you've got, but at the same time, like if you've got a kid who's struggling with something and a certain pair of shoes might make their life easier, then I probably wouldn't have a problem with that either. You know what I mean? But I'd still have those conversations with them. But hey, here's the shoes just in case.
Right.
It also says that people who are just familiar with marketing tactics don't fall for them as frequently. So, I mean, when I was coming up and I was young, I worked in the marketing department for a credit union. And so I have to say that probably even before that, though, if you said to me, like, if you start selling to me, I hear it right away. Or I start thinking about why are they saying this to me? You know what I mean? Like,
right. What do they get?
Yeah. If solar panels were really affordable, I'd have them by now. Like that kind of an idea.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd be up for solar. I'll take some free electricity. But if you're selling it to me, that must mean that I have to spend $20,000 to get my solar panels to save $400 a month or whatever, or something like that. Like, I don't know how that's going to take a while for me to make that money back.
Right.
I'd love to help the planet, but I don't have 20 grand to throw at the problem.
Correct.
So I see that. It says that, now this is interesting. Would you call yourself emotionally reactive or no?
I would say it depends for me.
Okay.
Emotionally reactive when appropriate, like when my cat passed away.
Jenny.
It's very sad.
I know. Jenny's cat passed away recently.
Yes.
She got on the last time we recorded. I was like, "Are you all right?" She's like, "I just have it's been a bad day." My God.
Yes.
Yeah.
So emotionally reactive there, I think in appropriate scenarios, yes.
Right.
But other times I'm like,
You've never seen a necklace and ripped off all your clothes and run around excited or something like that.
No,
you're like, oh my God, I have to have this. Right. No.
Not at all.
Yeah. Well, so if you're low on that emotional reactivity, you're less likely to fall for it. So the reason I'm talking about marketing is because whether you know it or not, the people you're looking at on TikTok and Instagram, Either someone is paying them to do what they're doing, or they're trying to get popular enough so someone will pay them for what they're doing. No one is doing a fit check for you just because they want you to see how cute your butt looks when you show them your shoes. Right? Like that's, most people are like, well, if I can get this thing big enough, someone will come. Now, the joke's on them. Unless you get so big, you really don't, there's no money to be made, really.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of influencers that make $25 for something. Like something where you're like, oh my God, it gets so many, it doesn't work like that. Like do some Googling and find out what
how much it takes.
1,000 views on YouTube makes you, for example, because it's nothing.
Not a lot.
Yeah. Right. It's not. I think I get a check from YouTube like once a month for like $98. And I'm like not trying to be big on YouTube or anything like that. But I don't know. I do a few thousand downloads a month on YouTube, but it's because all I do is put my podcast up there.
Right.
If I was to make a video and put a nice background behind me and put up some lights and pull out a device like an Omnipod or a Dexcom, which are very sexy on YouTube. Oh, I don't want to talk about it like this, but like a bullshit tutorial about how it works. Like, here, like basically read from the manual, but into a camera.
Right. Push the button and this is how it works and it'll blink at you here. And
those things will get you hundreds of thousands of downloads.
Yes.
There's nothing to say about how a Dexcom works that takes more than about 8 seconds, right? It's not a 20, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's almost like when people say like, there's so many episodes about how people manage, but those people use pumps. What if I use MDI? I go, oh, just do the same thing. It's you can't do extended boluses. You can't shut off your basal. You'll have to inject more. That's it. Like what you want a series about that? I can't make you a series about that. Like it's about the insulin, not about how you put it in, generally speaking.
Right.
Those device things are exactly the same. Now, if you do like a drill down episode, like I did with like how Omnipod 5 works for people, that's different. But if you're reading from the manual or from the marketing materials, you're just trying to take advantage of people's fear that they don't understand how this thing works.
That they don't know what they've been taught.
Yeah.
And they probably have at that point of looking up a device. You're looking for more information that you feel like you didn't get when you were initially trained on it, or that you really, maybe you don't read things well and you do visually work better with like sight.
Yeah.
You get to see how it works, where to push the button, what the screen should look like. I think there's, validity in that type of a thing for a specific learner.
Right. There's no reason not that. I'm not saying you shouldn't like see it. I'm just saying that those videos shouldn't have hundreds of thousands of downloads. Like you can figure out how a thing works holding it in your hand one time. Like, you know what I mean? Like and I get the like, oh, it's got insulin in it. I don't disagree, but the amount of your basal per hour doesn't change because the screen looks different on this one than that one, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm just saying that that's taking advantage of like a fear or taking advantage of your excitement about the thing. Like, oh, I got a thing. I want to go. That's another thing that's new to this kind of life now too. Like I bought this car. I'm going to go watch 9,000 videos about it.
Exactly.
The car's outside. Go look at it.
Go take a peek under the hood, see what it does. What does it sound like? Is it supposed to do that? Then great, right?
You're all set.
We're all set. Turn the engine on and move. But I think you're right in bringing, a bit ago you mentioned that this also, it does navigate into our devices that we use for diabetes and the visibility that we now have to devices. Years ago when pumps and CGMs and newer blood glucose meters and all those things were really starting to ramp up in their design and what they could offer, we didn't see fancy people wearing the device and advertising them, because that's really what it is.
Right. Listen, I get it. Like I get why people see what's that girl's name? Is it Lila Moss? The model. She's
model.
Yeah, and her mom was a model. I probably sound stupid right now. And she's wearing, what is she wearing? Omnipod, maybe? And like she'll wear it on a runway, which is awesome. Like I think that's terrific. I also think she didn't have a lot of options. Like she does have type 1 diabetes and she's working. She needs to wear her insulin pump, right? And it's cool that she's not hiding it. And I think it's awesome for people to see it. As a matter of fact, I've seen threads in my private Facebook group all the time where someone will just say, like, if you could just share a video of your kid putting on a device or a picture of your son or daughter wearing this thing, it would mean a lot to my kid. I understand that, right? I 1,000,000% understand that. There's a use case where I go, okay, that makes a ton of sense to me.
Right.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, and in the same line, not only other kids or other people that you don't really know, kind of goes back to my not understanding why you'd want to watch somebody you don't know. In this case, I find it purposeful. You find connection with another little kid who's 7 years old,
right,
or another football player who's 14, right? But I think in terms of what we see in the bigger scale of media coverage, like the model or known personalities wearing them, I think not so much as an adult. I don't care who wears what, right? It doesn't affect me. It's great to see in personalities that are more famous, but from a kid perspective and even like a teen perspective, I think what it does provide is some visual to what is possible. Right? The football player's got the pod on an arm and a CGM on the other arm. You see that as a kid and you are a football player and you're thinking, I never thought that I could actually go that far.
Oh, I don't have diabetes. And I saw a guy kicking an extra point the other day with an Omnipod on. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's just for people who think like, gosh, this thing happened to me. I'm by myself. No one else. That stuff is great. Like I'm not, I am definitely not saying that. I just don't. So I think here's the problem is that you start off saying, I'm going to use social media to talk to people about diabetes.
Yeah.
And then you come to realize that they don't care and they're not going to pay attention and that doesn't get you big numbers and it's not going to happen. So then they start leaning into other social media trends to try to get the following. And the idea is to but then they don't talk about the diabetes anymore. And it's not their fault. I'm just going to come out and tell you, no one's going to watch your TikTok, about, no one cares. Here's 10 variables that might impact your blood sugar. No one, that's not what TikTok's made for. TikTok's made for that's funny, that's stupid, that's crazy. So I understand what happens to the creators. They're I'm going to share good information. Good information's not going to get you widely picked up. It's not how the algorithm works.
Because it's not shiny and sparkly.
Yeah, the algorithm is not pushing that kind of content.
Right.
I shared with you before we started recording, and I'm happy to say it here, is some nice guy on TikTok found something really interesting about one of my episodes recently, made a TikTok about it. He's got 350,000 views on it right now. I'm the guy that makes the goddamn podcast. I can't get 350,000 views on talking about it, but he did. He was but then when you look at it, it had a sensational bend to it. And I've been paying a lot of attention to that this week because the same thing happened to me within my private Facebook group. So that I don't know what episode it is, right? But a nice woman comes on and tells a story of her kid who got 150 units of insulin instead of a unit and a half from her school nurse.
I haven't listened to that one yet, but I can't imagine the horror.
Yeah, a fairly harrowing tale. I'm not going to lie to you. And the mom was lucky enough to be at the school, but she panicked a little bit. And so it got really close. It was not, the kid's 7 years old when this happened, 150 units. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's episode 1323. It's called School Nurse Mistake. Now, in that same week, I had a woman come on and tell a story of her husband who had a borderline personality disorder, and she's trying to get her kids with diabetes away from him. Arden came on and talked about how she doesn't understand money. A 52-year-old lady came on and talked about how the religion she grew up with was, hard for her. A 19-year-old girl came on to talk about all of her health problems. She's off at college, and she and I tried to go through them together. You and I talked about what frozen shoulder is. A lot of stuff came out, right? There was a cold wind episode where a med device salesperson came on and was like, this job wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be.
Right.
None of them blew up anywhere. But the one about, can you believe that a nurse gave my kid 100, almost died. Right? I'm afraid that that'll happen to me. I'm afraid that someone will give me too much insulin. I'm afraid they'll give it to me. Boom, it explodes.
Right. Because it's drawing from one of those emotional responses, fear.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's going to get the hits.
And that then I see somebody post in my Facebook group. I post in my Facebook group all the time. It doesn't matter. Unless I say something crazy, it doesn't matter. If I go in there right now and say, I swear to you, you want your A1C to go down a full point? here, listen to this episode. I guarantee you that you'll understand pre-bolusing better. It won't do much. The algorithm won't push it, nothing like that. If I jumped in there and said, I had a bad day, or even if I say, hey, by the way, I left the editor left a curse in this episode by mistake. I'm sorry, it's been taken out. If you got it and it offends you, I'm sorry, it wasn't our intention. That stuff blows up.
Sure.
That stuff all blows up.
And what's it reacting to? Emotion.
Yeah, or titillating, whatever it is, like curse words, like that kind of stuff. But so I see somebody posts in that group like, oh my God, I listened to episode 1323 about the school nurse and blah, blah. That Facebook algorithm showed it to everybody that is in that group. Like it just pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And I'm over here going, I wanted you guys to know what frozen shoulder was because
it's important.
It's important for you to know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. So I don't know, Jenny.
I don't know. Would it push it better? I don't know much about the algorithm or the algorithms, whatever it's using. Does it need like a tap dancing episode? Like, does it need a video of somebody doing something entertaining to push it?
Well, here's the problem is that
I get my tap shoes out.
I feel like, and I don't know if you know the phrase, it gives me douche chills to do stuff like that. So I don't get involved. I don't like,
right.
I honestly could take important information, I swear to you, and put it with a picture of a puppy and more people would see it.
See it.
Yeah, I can do that. Like that absolutely works. I've tried it for fun. I'm like, oh, that worked. I'm an adult. Like I can't bring myself like,
right.
There's a reason that when you open up any scrolling app that if it's a girl, she's running towards you when the video starts.
Oh.
You don't know this, Jenny, because you're.
I don't have social media.
No,
I don't.
It makes their bosoms jiggle. Okay.
Of
and
course.
Like, yeah.
I get it.
I don't know if you understand how that works.
Yeah. I'm a girl.
And then people go, oh, boobies. And then they hold for a second. Right. Or like when the video comes up and the first thing they say is don't scroll away because you actually go, oh, or wait till the end. There's nothing at the end. Let me tell you, it's nothing there. But if you stay to the whole end, the algorithm thinks you like the video and then it shows it to more people.
I see.
That's exactly what, like, so that's how these little things like, work. But the crazy thing is we all know that's how it works.
Right.
But I still buy the shoes.
Well, and that's the funny thing. So, I mean, it's explained, I guess, a little bit better by just your short little blurb there, because I have seen on the occasion that I've perused your group, I have seen where people include a picture for the algorithm. Like, it's a picture of your dog. I don't understand. But clearly dogs get hits. I don't know. Maybe people like dogs.
Facebook favors images over video. If you put up a video of the same dog, it won't do as well.
Interesting.
Facebook doesn't love video. Instagram used to love pictures, doesn't love pictures anymore. Now it loves video. Huh. Like, so they skew them towards certain stuff. But what that leaves it back to is you're either going to be a person like me who's like, look, I am going to keep pushing out good content and you guys will find it, but I am not going to whore myself like that. Right.
Right.
Or you get somebody who's like, I've got good information here. I guess I'll change my pump in a pair of shorter shorts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess, and listen, we all see people do it all the time. Like, right now, or I'll go on a vacation and then do my diabetes stuff while I'm on vacation or on a beach or I'm a little sun-kissed or something like that. Or
outside during a hurricane. The ones that the news reels that I actually would like to see are the ones with the men in the coats, like outside during the hurricane. And I'm not laughing about the hurricane.
I actually feel terrible because
I do. I said that to Nathan. I was like, I feel bad that this poor man has to do his job outside getting blown away.
See how nice you are. I walked into the room the other night and I don't know who it was. Like one of the anchors was standing outside and I said to Kelly, I'm like, I don't want anything bad to happen to that guy, but how awesome would it be if he just blew away right now? If he was like, we think what's going to, he was just gone. And we heard him yell as he was going away, like, ah.
What you're saying though is sad that is what grabs.
Yeah. Well, they do it on purpose.
Right?
I mean, CNN shoves, what's his name down there? He's wealthy for God's sakes. He doesn't need it, but Anderson Cooper.
Oh, right.
I mean, his mom was a billionaire, wasn't she? Like, I think he's okay, is what I'm saying. It's but he whores himself out and goes and stands next to that hurricane, right? Like, because that's what people want to look at. And I'm just like, look, I try. Like, I'll jump up and I'll make a video and I'll be like, hey, listen, on this week's episode, we talked about this, this, and this. It never catches on. Like, it just never does. Like, when even companies will ask me, like, why don't you try harder with your social media? And I'm like, the podcast is very popular and people actually listen to that. They don't just scroll past it. You don't get 10 seconds out of them and they're like, and they're gone, you know?
Well, and what you're getting also is it's more old school referral. It's, did you know about this? And because the community within diabetes on social media has grown in so many other places, there's the ability to share information, or now groups that are, able to get together again. Did you hear about this or did you know about this? So you've got what is still the telephone call kind of recommendation or referral. You don't need the cute dog with the bow tie.
Yeah, I'm not going to bounce myself at you. That's not going to be me. I'm going to put out what I think is good content and hope that you like it and listen to it and tell somebody about it. Like that's my only option. But listen, I also can't tell you, like nobody would want to see me in my bathing suit talking about something. But if somebody wanted that, like, would I? And I don't think I would because of some of the things we talked about earlier. But I just saw the other day, and I have to pause here. I'm just going to say it anyway, but I think these people are advertisers. But I just saw the other day this like kind of glitzy, like red carpety event to push a thing. And there were diabetes influencers there. I know who they are, and I know how hard they're trying to get a audience so they can charge people money for their content. Like I know what they're doing, right? And they're so happy to be there and they're all dressed up. And I thought, this influences no one, in my opinion. Like who looks at this and says, oh, I'm going to do this now because the guy from the thing is like he seems to be having a great life.
Sure.
He's dressed up very nicely. He's at a nice dinner. You're not there. Like
somebody paid him to be there to be the visual.
I also don't understand why that doesn't make people angry instead of like desirous. Because I've seen people do that too, where like their thing blows up and they'll get like a real expensive item, like a car or a home or something.
Sure.
And now they're showing it to people. And I'm like, I don't understand why you think that's attractive. Like, why do you think other people are looking at that and going like, oh, he has a $300,000 car. I'll listen to him.
Right. I think that that's what it kind of boils down to for me and my lack of understanding. It's exactly what you're saying. I don't need to see all of your bling that I don't have, but I also really don't care about.
Yeah.
And why should I? I've got other things I need to navigate.
Enjoy your car. Like, that's cool. Like, actually, your thing worked out like that for you. Like, I'm actually one of those people. I'm like, good for you. Like, I think that's awesome, you know? But I don't understand if he's showing it to me, why I would be like, oh, whatever he's saying, I'm going to do that because look at that car. I don't get that. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Especially in other walks of life. But we've changed there too. Like, so I'm old, right? But I was there in Philadelphia when the first NFL player went into free agency.
Oh.
Okay. So Reggie White, he filed a class action lawsuit. He got free agency for NFL players. I believe that NFL players should be able to sell their wares wherever. I don't think they should be restricted by who they're under contract with, right? People love this man, okay? They loved him. In Philadelphia, if you would have said, Reggie White's outside and he needs you to cut off your pinky right now and give it to him, people would have run out of their houses holding their pinkies up in the air. But when the media told you that he got a 4-year, $17 million contract, people hated him after that. Like as soon as they knew how much money he had and it was more than them and they could do that, that's not fair. Like all he does is play football, that kind of thing. Even though back then you could have made the absolute argument that the only reason the Philadelphia Eagles made money was because of that guy, right? People turned on him right away. But then fast forward how many years, 30 years, 40 years, people are like, oh, he makes a lot of money. That's cool.
Yeah.
You're not going to make that much money ever. That's not happening for you. Like maybe that's what social media has done is it allowed you to believe that you're just a couple of moments away from being that person that you're looking at.
I guess maybe that's a interesting view on it.
Yeah.
And again, depends person to person, personality, I guess, and I don't know, not necessarily what's important to you, but yeah, I don't know. People are interesting.
I'm going to Google this last thing before you go. Ready? Percentage of Americans that want to be an influencer.
Reggie White?
Well, 57% of Gen Zers want to be influencers.
And do you think the real reason boils down to the baseline understanding that they think it's a monetary road.
More than half of Gen Zers think they can easily make a career in influencing a career.
I guess that's where the hard thing for me is, because look at how fast trends change. And so if you become an influencer on these cool, fancy hoop earrings that monitor your heart rate, right? You know, great. But how long is that going to be around for you to influence on that particular? Like, you're going to have to continue to navigate the newest and the newest and the newest. And there's so much life to like experience and enjoy that I feel like.
Yeah, like you'll make yourself a professional glitter sticker on your face influencer, and then that'll go out of vogue, and then you'll be like, what do I do now? And the answer isn't go find the next thing, because you're done now. You used up, you can't keep making it happen. It's very difficult to keep a thing going for, like, take it from me. It's very difficult to keep a thing going for 10 years.
For a long time.
I'll share this with people because I think it makes the point, and I don't think I ever would have said this on the podcast otherwise. At one point, I was aware of 100 other type 1 diabetes podcasts that began after mine and then failed. And there's a couple that are holding on. God bless them. Like, I really do feel like that. I hope they're helping somebody.
Yeah, because I think there's value in what gets put out there. Yeah. And whoever it reaches, it's reaching somebody who needed something.
And my voice is certainly not the only voice. And that's wonderful, right? But those other ones, if you go look at charts, they don't chart, really. It's great. They're reaching somebody, but they're not doing what this is doing. And it's random. I couldn't do it again.
But you couldn't put a prescription to do this, and then move this way. You just kind of moved with the way that things were, and probably just the way that your brain thought about moving forward with the atmosphere of how things were changing.
Yeah, I zig and zag. And also, for those of you who are out there killing yourself for trends and stuff like that, I ignored all of that the entire way. I never looked at social media. I always looked at what I thought was content that would help people.
Sure.
That's my main focus. Anyway, I don't understand why people are that easily influenced, although I guess I have a better understanding now after we read about it a little bit.
Yay.
But I appreciate you doing this with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely.
This episode of the Juicebox Podcast was sponsored by US Med. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Get started today with US Med. Links in the show notes, links at juiceboxpodcast.com. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. I'm looking for guests for this series, so if you have a thing you don't understand, diabetes related or not, and you'd like to come on the podcast and figure it out together, reach out to me through the website, juiceboxpodcast.com. Let me know that you're interested in being on an I Don't Understand episode and what your topic might be. The Diabetes Variables series from the Juicebox Podcast goes over all the little things that affect your diabetes that you might not think about. From travel and exercise to hydration and even trampolines. Juiceboxpodcast.com. Go up in the menu and click on Diabetes Variables. Are you starting to see patterns, but you can't quite make sense of them? You're like, oh, if I bolus here, this happens, but I don't know what to do. Should I put in a little less, a little more? If you're starting to have those thoughts, if you're starting to think, this isn't going the way the doctor said it would, I think I see something here, but I can't be sure. Once you're having those thoughts, you're ready for the Diabetes Pro Tip series from the Juicebox Podcast. It begins at episode 1000. You can also find it at juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu, and you can find a list in the private Facebook group. Just check right under the featured tab at the top. It'll show you lists of a ton of stuff, including the Pro Tip series, which runs from episode 1000 to 1025. Hey, you listened all the way to the end. You might want to know more about the Juicebox Podcast. If you do, go to juiceboxpodcast.com, scroll down to the bottom, and subscribe to the Juicebox Podcast newsletter. Each week, you'll get a rundown of the shows from the past week, just in case you missed something and you think, oh, I would have loved that. Now I know. Hey, what's up, everybody? If you've noticed that the podcast sounds better, And you're thinking, like, how does that happen? What you're hearing is Rob at Wrong Way Recording doing his magic to these files. So if you want him to do his magic to you, wrongwayrecording.com. You got a podcast? You want somebody to edit it? You want Rob.